पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. By the infinite grace of Lord Krishna and Sri Ramakrishna, we have the great opportunity to meditate on the great meaning of Bhagavadgita here. We are at the 28th shloka of Bhagavadgita. Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna, tatapare, swadhyaya jnana yajnascha, yatayaha samshitavrataha. These are the various types of yajna. We have already learnt in the last classes that yajna is a dedicated action. If any work is dedicated to God, if it is done in a selfless manner, that action is called the yajna. Yajna requires a kind of renunciation, tyaga, giving up of the selfish desires, and doing work for the sake of society, for the sake of the nation, and for the sake of the whole humanity at large. This is what is called the yajna in the social context. But spiritually, giving up the egotism and doing all the works as the service of God, and slowly reducing the idea, lessening the idea that I am the body, I am the mind, and clinging on to the source of all the consciousness we feel in this body, that is Atman or Paramatman, and holding on to that idea through the work, that is called the yajna here. So yajna concept is central to the karma yoga. That is what has been brought out by Bhagavad Gita, so we are studying now. There are several kinds of yajna we in the ordinary life can undertake without much spending of time or the money. In fact, any work we undertake can be transformed into yajna. The first one Krishna speaks of is dravya yajna. Tirteshu dravya viniyogaha. Sri Shankaracharya explains, when we go to pilgrim places, we should spend money in giving alms to the poor and destitute people, and we should not shy away from spending the money. That spending the money for good causes, to be charitable, to give donations to the charitable institutions who are doing good work, spiritual work or humanitarian work, and the service activities is a kind of yajna that is termed as dravya yajna. Dravya means here is money, wealth. So the wealth is we accumulate, we are only trustees to that wealth. The wealth belongs to the community. If we are rich, if we have accumulated much wealth or the money, we are just trustees to that. So we have to give back to the society, we have to give back to the community. That is the idea of yajna here. So we can do yajna with the money we have. Accumulating wealth is not a sin as per the religion conceived by the Krishna. Krishna never says you should not earn money, but whatever you earn, spend on others, give out to give out, give to the destitute and poor people, spend the money in the service of society, and whatever remains, and you enjoy that. But what we do is exactly opposite. First we enjoy with the money we have, and we build very big houses, palatial houses, spend lot of money on pleasures, and whatever, if anything remains, we give away. But that is not yajna. Yajna is spending for others, giving to others, and in fact the whole life should be dedicated to the cause of service to God, service to the country, service of the people. That is the cause, that is the nature of the yajna, that is the concept of yajna. So this is what is called the dravya yajna here. Next comes the tapo yajna. We do rituals and austerities. Though it is very difficult for us to perform pujas, austerities, vratas, and take vows, etc. in the modern period, we have to do some kind of rituals, vratas, in order to purify our mind. The objective of all the tapas, all kinds of austerities prescribed in the Vedas, is to purify our mind so that we are able to concentrate our mind on God. If we are not able to absorb ourselves in the thought of God, and there will be no meaning for these vratas. These vratas are also are termed as yajna by Krishna. As you know, all kind of actions, irrespective whether they are secular or spiritual, can be transformed into yajna. So austerities can be transformed into yajna. Yoga yajnaha. Shankaracharya says, pranayama pratyaharadi lakshanaha yogaha. Yoga's, the central teaching of the Patanjali Yoga is the practice of the Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dhyana, Samadhi. These are the 8 limbs of the yoga. Shankara refers only 3 here. Pranayama is the control of breath. In fact, it is the control of the vital air within our body. That vital air is none other than the principal source of energy of the whole universe. That is what is called prana. Prana, universal prana, is the same as the prana within our body, the source of energy, that we can control it by pranayama. By controlling our breathing, we can control the prana within the body, and we can have control over the cosmic energy also. This has been explained beautifully, scientifically and rationally by Swami Vivekananda in Raja Yoga. So that is what's before us, the Yoga Yajna. And Pratyahara. Pratyahara is withdrawing the mind from unwanted objects. So if you want to meditate, if you want to be indrawn, what is needed is withdrawing the mind. The eyes are seeing an object, and we have to withdraw the eyes from the object of seeing. Ears are hearing some sound that is very distractive and disturbing to our meditation, so we have to withdraw. So cutting off the senses from interacting with the objects of the senses is what is explained, termed as pratyahara. So the senses will be withdrawn towards the mind itself. So the centers will not go out, instead they get absorbed in the mind itself. That is called pratyahara. Then only we will have capacity to do what is called next step, dharana. Dharana is fixing the mind on a particular object. So Patanjali says there are some points in the body. The famous and the most well-known point is the Hridaya. The Hridaya is not the heart in biological sense, it is the center of consciousness. There are several such centers of consciousness prescribed for the meditation. The safest method is to concentrate on our heart. And what is heart, how to concentrate, all these things we will learn directly from the Guru. So that is dharana. When dharana becomes continuous and uninterrupted for a longer period of time, just like the oil pouring from one vessel to another, that is called the dhyana. Dhyana, we use the word, but actually many people do not do dhyana at all. What we try to do actually is pratyahara or the dharana. Unless we are accomplished in the earlier steps, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara and dharana, we will not be able to do dhyana. Dhyana is impossible unless we master the earlier steps. But still a generic name, a common name is given, dhyana, for every kind of sitting and trying to observe the mind or to make it indrawn. So we should understand the idea of dhyana. So all these, and when dhyana becomes matured and we reach a pinnacle state, ultimate state, where we lose the consciousness that I am meditating and we have only consciousness of the meditating objects. Suppose I am meditating on Sri Ramakrishna. In the dhyana state, I experience three things. I, the meditator, the idea that I am meditating, and third one is the Sri Ramakrishna on whom I am meditating. In Samadhi, the idea of meditator and the meditations go away and gets vanished. Only the object of meditation shines. The light of consciousness pertaining to the object of meditation, in this case Sri Ramakrishna, only remains. And that is what is called Samadhi, according to Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So if we, with perseverance, if we continue to practice this yoga, and it is the yajna, it is also a kind of yajna. And next yajna is Swadhyaya Jnana Yajnascha. So we have to segregate according to Sri Shankaracharya. Swadhyaya Yajna is somewhat different from the Jnana Yajna. What is Swadhyaya? According to the prescribed rules, we have to study the Vedas. That is the orthodox idea, very ancient idea of this Swadhyaya. According to yoga, Swadhyaya is Moksha Shastra Adhyayana, the study of the books which will take us to the liberation, the moksha, and also even the nama japa or mantra japa is also termed as the Swadhyaya in the Yoga Shastra. So this is Swadhyaya for us. The Swadhyaya is to be transformed as an act of yajna, or the act of swadhyaya itself should be considered as the yajna. It is swadhyaya yajna for us. Then what is jnana yajna? Understanding the essential meaning of the Shastra or the scriptures is what is called Jnana Yajna. That's what we are doing here in these classes. We are not just studying the Bhagavad-Gita, we are trying to understand the inner meaning, the essential teaching of the Bhagavad-Gita. So this is Jnana Yajna for us. Jnana means the essential or the inner teaching of any scriptural work, like it may be Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and other works of the spiritual nature. So those who perform these kind of yajnas are referred to as yatayaha by Krishna. What are yatayaha? Those who are putting up lot of effort, yatana shilaha, they are called yatis. But in generally, sannyasins are called yatis. Those who are mendicants, who have taken the formal vow of sannyasa, are called the yatayaha. But in generic terms, the word can be applied to all those who are struggling in the spiritual path. And samshita vrataha yatayaha. The qualification for the yatis is the samshita vrataha. This is a beautiful word. Vrataha, we all know. Yatayaha, the sannyasins or the spiritual aspirants have to engage themselves in vrata, austerity, spiritual practice, etc. But these people are samshita vrataha. They do hard practice. Their practices are rigid. They put up hard work on their spiritual practices. They are not lazy in that. So they spend lot of time, not only lot of time, lot of mental energy and physical energy in performing the austerities, tapas, dhyana, etc. That is what is called samshita vrataha. So these six, I think the six, dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna, swadhyaya, jnana yajna, the five vratas, five yajnas are very common yajna everyone has to perform, everyone has to do in their daily lives. So if we do, we are also called yatayaha. If our practice is rigid and we put up hard practice, if we can do practice in a very rigid manner, then we will also be called yatayaha. So this is the idea Krishna is giving. That means spiritual practice need not be confined to only few. Spiritual practice can be done by everyone, even common people. So it is Krishna's merit, it is to the Krishna's credit that he brought the spirituality to the common people. That is the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita. So now another type of yajna, apane juhvati pranam, prane apanam tatha pare, pranapana gati ruddhva, pranayama parayanaha. The pranayama is also an yajna. Now we have to understand what is pranayama. Ruddha, stopping of the prana and apana, is called the pranayama according to this shloka. So in the second line you read pranapana gati ruddhva. Gati means the movement, stopping the movement, the controlling the movement. Actually it is not even controlling here, actual stopping the movement of prana and apana is what is called the pranayama. Those who are engaged in that activity, so spiritual practice of stopping the breath and by controlling the prana and apana, they are actually doing a kind of yajna. So the pranayama is also a yajna. So what is prana here? Prana is the giving, letting the air go out, that is exhalation. It is called the prana. Shankaracharya says, Mukhas nasikabhyam vayoho nirgamanam. Nirgamanam, that is exhaling of the air through our mouth or the nose, is called the pranagati. Then what is apanagati? In the opposite direction, through mouth and the nose, if we inhale the air, that is called the apanagati, adhogamanam, filling in our lungs or the stomach with the air, it is called the apanagati. And letting the air go away from our lungs to outside is called the pranagati. So we have to control both prana, the gati, the movement of both prana and apana. And that is what is called the pranayama. So pranayama is really kumbhakakya. Those who are familiar with pranayama know, though pranayama prescribes regulated exhaling and inhaling, actual pranayama is stopping the breath. After the exhaling, we have to stop the breath for a few seconds, and that is called rechaka pranayama, after exhaling. And after inhaling and filling the stomach and the lungs with the air, we have to stop breathing for few seconds. That is called puraka pranayama. In Sanskrit, the puraka is inhaling and the rechaka is exhaling. So even in the first line says, even exhaling and inhaling are also yajna. So we can say there are three kinds of yajnas are mentioned here. One is apana, apane pranam juhvati. That is called the inhaling here. Apane, apana vritti we all know, that is filling the lungs with the air, that is inhaling, that is apana vritti. That becomes the agni, that becomes the fire. And what is offered here? Prana is offered. Prana vritti means giving the that exhaling movement of air outside, that goes outside, that exhaling is as if is offered in the inhaling air. That is called apana vrittau pranam juhvati. Apana vrittau pranam juhvati. That is also a kind of yajna. That is how we have to do kumbha. That means we are inhaling. After inhaling, we stop for some time. We don't do any breathing. That is called puraka kumbhaka. Then prane apanam. Prana means the air which goes outside, and that becomes the fire, that becomes the crucible upon which apana is offered. That means exhaling. So after exhaling, we stop for some seconds and we don't do any breathing. That is called rechaka pranayama. So there are two kinds of pranayamas prescribed here, rechaka pranayama and kumbhaka pranayama. Both of them are termed as pranayama parayanaha. So this pranayama is yajna here. And also there is a higher kind of pranayama. Only the yogins of the higher caliber can achieve this. You neither exhale nor inhale. You stop the movement of the air completely, and you will be able to stop the breathing for several seconds, even minutes, even hours also. That is a higher kind of kumbhaka, neither exhaling nor inhaling. Of course, then there will be three kinds of pranayamas. But the third kind of pranayama is not mentioned here, only the controlling of the prana and the apana, and through that doing pranayama is mentioned here. So what is exhaling? Exhaling means offering prana in apana is called exhaling. The inhaling prana and offering prana apana in prana is called the exhaling. So this is quite a little bit confusing, and if you read it properly and try to understand this in due course. So whatever is exhaling is and inhaling, both are a kind of yajna, and controlling breathing through the prana and apana and stopping the breath after exhaling as well as inhaling, that is kumbhaka pranayama. The stopping of the breath is called the kumbhaka. As I told you, after exhaling you stop, that is called rechaka kumbhaka, and after inhaling you stop the breath, it is called puraka kumbhaka. Both kinds of kumbhakas are the pranayama. That is possible only when you stop the prana and apana, and both are the kumbhakas, the yajnas. So this is the yajna. So our inhaling and exhaling and controlling of the breath through yogic practices are also yajnas. So everything is yajna here. And the shloka number 30th says, apare niyataharaha pranan praneshu juhvati sarvepyete yajnavidaha yajnakshapita kalmashaha. There are other yogins who fast lot and they reduce their food and they weaken their indriyas. The weakening of the indriyas is a very traditional method of controlling the mind and the senses. Senses will become very active and senses go towards the objects of the senses when we take food in plenty. So how to weaken the indriyas? To reducing the food, regulating the food. That is what is called niyata aharaha. Niyataha parimitaha. Shankaracharya says, in a very regulated manner we have to eat. So in this, through that, pranan praneshu juhvati. So this concept is very difficult. So three meanings are given, three interpretations are given. So I will explain all the three interpretations. Let me explain now what is the literally meaning of the pranan praneshu. So pranas themselves becomes the fires here. One offer pranas in prana. So as we offer the clarified butter or the ghee in the Agni, pranas themselves become the Agni, and what we will offer? We will offer the pranas themselves, and that is a kind of yajna. This is what Krishna says. Let me take up the explanation given by Shankaracharya first. Shankaracharya says, pranas are the energies. Pranas are not just breathing, pranas are the energies. So we control some kind of energies in our body. We control some kind of energies. We are yet to control some kind of energy. So we offer the energies yet to be controlled in the energies that we have already controlled. That means the Agni is the energies that we are already controlled, pranas are we are already controlled, and the offering is that we pranas are yet to be controlled, not controlled. That means the yajna is the act of controlling that the pranas which are not yet controlled. This is a kind of yajna. So it is very difficult to understand, only yogis can do that. What are the pranas? What are the pranas to be controlled? All these ideas Shankaracharya has not explained it. Pranan, Vayu Bedhan, Praneshu Jeva Juhvati, he says. So, yasya Vayoho Jayaha Kriyate. So, we have a dominance over some pranas. We have some dominance over some pranas. In those pranas, Itaran Vayu Bhedan, that we have not yet gained dominance or we have not yet controlled them. So, some pranas or some energies we have controlled, that becomes the crucible or the Agni, and we offer those who are not controlled into those which we have already controlled. That means the process of controlling the pranas is what is called yajna. I mean, this pranan praneshu jushvati according to Shankaracharya. Though it is somewhat very puzzling for us, it's very difficult because we don't practice such yoga nowadays. Perhaps some great yogis might have practiced and they can understand this. But another explanation given by Swami Tapasyananda Maharaj in his translation is more practical. Our eating process and the process of digestion is yajna here. So there are some energy in the food we eat, and that food we eat, that is merged into the energy within the body. The energy within the body becomes the fire or the Agni of the yajna. In that we offer the energy within the foodstuff. So energy within the foodstuff gets merged into energy within the body. And this is the process of digestion, or this is the process of assimilation of the food we take in. That means even the intake of the food, eating and digestion is also a kind of yajna. So this explanation is much easier to understand. But there is another explanation for our convenience explained by Sridhara. Sridhara is one of the commentators of the Bhagavadgita, and his commentary is very popular, very simple. He says we have to weaken our indriyas. We have to weaken. How should weaken our indriyas? By reducing the food or regulating our food. The diabetes patients know how difficult it is to regulate the food, and if you don't regulate the food, you will have very irregular readings of the sugar. The sugar. All these things we know. So regulation means almost reducing the food here. We have to go on reducing the amount of food we take in. Then what happens? Our indriyas get weakened. And then we are able to do yoga practice and meditation better. And this is a kind of austerity. This is a kind of spiritual practice. It is a kind of traditional way of spiritual practice. You cannot become a yogi by overeating and overindulgence in the pleasures of the world. A yogi has to restrain himself. So, reducing the food. Then what happens? Indriyas become weakened. Indriyas will no longer be attracted towards the objects of the senses like seeing, hearing, etc. So, seeing, hearing, all these activities of the indriyas as if are withdrawn or merged into the very senses itself. And senses becomes the fire or the agni, the activities of the indriyas becomes the offering. That means the restraint or withdrawing the senses from their respective activities, that is what is called the indriya nigraha, we call it in traditional literature or in Sanskrit, that control of the senses are also can be a yajna. So, control of the senses is the yajna, according to the Sridhara, one of the most well-known commentator. So, according to another explanation, I have already told you, even the digestion process, eating process, digestion, it is something automatic we feel, but that also is kind of an yajna. So every activity, physiological activity, psychological activity, activities we do in normal day, normal life, ordinary life, everything can become an yajna. And Krishna says, those who do yajna, what is the benefit of the yajna? Yete yajna vidaha. Those who are engaged in any kind of yajna, or they can do multiple yajnas also. There is no hard and fast rule that they should engage only in one type of yajna. I can do swadhyaya yajna as well as the pranayama yajna. Of course, I have to eat, and I can transform even eating also into a kind of yajna. And of course, indriyas, the sense organs are to be restrained, that is also a kind of yajna. So one should engage in multiple yajnas, various forms of yajna in order to grow spiritually. Spiritual practice is very hard. If you take spiritual practice, if you are really serious about it, it is very hard for us to go against the current. The normal current and the normal course is to allow the senses to flow towards the objects of the senses and enjoy, and the pleasure seeking is the normal course. So we are swimming against the current. It is a very difficult task. And all kinds of tasks, all kinds of activities involving spiritual evolution is called yajna according to Lord Krishna. So those who are engaged in, they are all yajna vidaha, Krishna says, the knowers of the yajna. What happens when you perform all these activities with sincerity, with dedication and devotion to the Lord? You will be free from the sins. What is the sin? So when you indulge in sense pleasures, we commit sin. It is a kind of sin. So our mind becomes filthy, our mind becomes full of evil. We develop hatred, anger, and full of evil desires, etc. That itself is the sin. So sin, concept of sin is not very important in our literature. We find rare cases only the idea of the sin or the kalmasha, etc. Here the word sin is not used at all. Though in some translators use the word sin, it is the evil. Kalmasha is evil. Suppose I am full of anger, the angry. Anger is the filth. Anger is the kalmasha. I am full of the idea of kama, the lust. That is the evil here, kalmasha. If I am full of greediness for money, wealth, power, position, that is the filth, that is the kalmasha. So if we can perform the yajnas of this type as instructed by Lord Krishna, one will be free from all these kalmashas. So there are 6 kalmashas, arishadvarga, these are the enemies for us. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, etc. These are all, we will be free from that. So those who perform these kind of yajnas will be free from all kinds of evils. Yajna, Kshapita, Kalmashaha. And all evils in those yajna vidas, the knowers of the yajna, are as if washed away by the yajna itself, because sacrifice is a purifying agent. Sacrifice, any kind of sacrifice prescribed by Lord Krishna, has got purifying effect on us. This is the idea. So the next shloka says, yajna will lead us towards God. Yajna, the real purpose, the goal of the yajna is God. It's not just cleansing ourselves from the evil. After cleansing ourselves, our mind, our body from all kinds of filth and the evil, we should turn our mind towards God. Our body should become an instrument in the service of the God. So, how to achieve that? How one who is perfect in yajna will attain God? The next shloka says, Yajna shishta amruta bhujaha yanti brahma sanatanam nayam lokosti ayajnasya kutodyaha kurusattama. Yajna shishta, this is a beautiful concept. In the beginning of this session I told you, the goal of or the life style of life, the Vedanta or the traditional Indian knowledge system prescribed for every human being is to dedicate his energy, his money and all he has got to the service of the God, service of the society, service of the pure and destitute. It is Seva Yoga which is the essence of the Karma Yoga. So you have to feed others. So when you invite your guest to a function or a celebration in your house, you will first feed the guest and then you will eat. That is the tradition. In this like Western tradition, you will not eat along with the guest. You will eat after the guests are gone. That is the Indian tradition. So the life is meant for others. As Swami Vivekananda beautifully puts in his letter to Raja of Mysore, those who live for others alone live, the rest are dead than alive. So we have to live for others. That is the real life. So that is what is called yajna. And whatever remains after performing yajna, that we have to enjoy. That is the goal. That is the real karma yoga. That is the model karma yoga for us. Simply engaging some service activities for few hours or 1 hour spending, that is not karma yoga. Karma yoga is transforming our whole life, whole being as an instrument of seva, our life as the meant for seva, meant for others. That is real karma yoga. That is yajna for us. So we have to enjoy what is left after the yajna. Yajna shishta, bhujaha. Bhujaha means one who enjoys. And what is left after after giving to others, and that is called amruta. Amruta is the technical word. The word used in the context of the sacrifice or the yajna. Suppose in Yajamana is he one who performs the yajna. The priests are called the Purohitas. Purohitas perform yajna on the behalf of the Yajamana. Perhaps the 1 week or 2 weeks, even 1 month they perform yajna. And there are hundreds of materials, hundreds of ingredients are involved in the yajna. So lot of money is also spent, and priest and the devotees and others are served with food also. After the yajna is over, he has to spend all his wealth towards the yajna as far as possible. He should not shy away from spending the money on yajna. That is the idea. So after the yajna is over, what is left, that he should enjoy. It may be money, it may be food, it may be something. The object of enjoyment should be that which is left, a leftover we call it. It's called a very demeaning. It has a very inferior meaning in the Western context. Leftover means we eat something, we are not able to eat that much, and we pack and take to the home. That is called leftover in the Western context. And leftover is not a good word also. But here it is leftover. I dedicate all my energy. I spend all my money, perhaps much of the money. I feed the people who come to my house. I spend almost whole of my time for the welfare of others. And the God will definitely leave something for me also. It is not that I will spend everything on others. There will be something which I can enjoy in my life after giving to others, after spending the time serving others. There will be time for me, and that time, that leftover is what is called amruta. Why it is called amruta? Why it is called nectar? Because it is that amruta, enjoying after giving the money, or after spending the time, after dedicating much of our wealth to others, what is left, if we enjoy, that will lead us to the eternity, that will lead us to the realization. That is why that leftover is what is called the amruta. So here Tapasyanandaji translates it as the sacramental remnants of sacrifice. Here sacrifice, these are all the words used in the context of the yajna, the sacrifice. Because when Krishna was teaching, giving this instruction, the popular religious ceremony was sacrifice. So that's why he speaks in the language of the sacrifice. So, yajna shishta amruta bhujaha, one who enjoys the amruta after which is left after the yajna. This is the meaning. So I have already given you an insight. What is yajna? What is left after yajna, or the remnant of the yajna? Why it is called amruta? When you enjoy that amruta, it will not become a sin. In fact, it will lead to eternity, amrutatva, immortality. That is why That kind of enjoyment, that kind of purified enjoyment you can call, a spiritual kind of leading the life after dedicating everything to others, that is what is called Amruta here. One who enjoys the life in this manner, he is called Yajna Shishta Amruta Bhujaha. Where he will go? Yanti Brahma Sanatanam. Sanatanam, a beautiful word, a wonderful word, eternal. We call our religion Sanatana Dharma. It is not that not only for the sake that our religion is eternal, we do not know when this religion took birth. We do, and the religion is always there. That is why this religion, popularly known as Hindu religion, is called Sanatana Dharma. But the most sublime, most higher meaning is this religion stands for God. And God is Sanatana. Because the Hindu religion stands for, proclaims the eternal God who is in the heart of all. Who is in the heart of all, that religion is called Sanatana Dharma here. So here Brahman, the Supreme Lord, Supreme God, the Brahman is within the heart of everyone in the form of Pratyagatma. That's what Shankaracharya says. You need not search for Brahman, you need not search for the Supreme Lord. The same Supreme Lord is in the heart of everyone. And he is called in Bhagavadgita Kshetrajna, one who is the conscious part of our human personality, that which is consciousness, which is the giver of consciousness to the mind, the senses and the body. That consciousness itself is God. And we to be one with that consciousness, identifying with that consciousness itself is the immortality. This is the concept of Vedanta in brief. So, Yanti Brahma Sanatanam, one who attains the Sanatana Brahma. And what will happen if we don't lead our life according to the principle of Yajna enumerated by Krishna so far? For him, this loka means the present world, that means present life in this world will become unbearable. If you live for your own sake, if you are selfish, if you are greedy, if you are corrupt, you will be in misery. That is what is happening in this world. Those who are politicians, the wealthy people, businessmen, those who are very distinguished people, though they commit crime, they become corrupt and they lead a very miserable life because they have not understood the concept of Yajna in the Bhagavad-Gita. So if we learn Bhagavad-Gita not for the sake of the religion, because it's a religious book, it is a book of lives, how to lead a life, how to lead a wonderful life, you will learn by reading the Bhagavad-Gita. Nayam lokosti ayajnasya. Ayajna means one who is not following the instructions of Krishna with regard to yajna. He is called the ayajna. One who is not leading the life guided by the principle of yajna, he is called the ayajna. For him there is no present life. That means this present life becomes unbearable, miserable, full of evil, and his life will become in vain. And he has lost this life as if. That is why Krishna says, it is this word lokaha nasti. This word is lost as if. This life is lost. Even this life itself is lost. How we can aspire for the afterlife? So we know We Hindus believe in Swarga, we believe in Brahmaloka, and we want to go to heaven after this life. So we always, there will be higher lokas where we can enjoy better. The pleasures will be intense, pleasures will be higher. So these are all called the Swarga lokas and other lokas, etc. If our this life itself is lost, how we can aspire for something else, some higher loka? The one who doesn't perform yajna, one who has not transformed his life into yajna, this life itself is lost. And how can he aspire for the higher life? Kutonya kurusattamam. So, for one who doesn't sacrifice, I have told you extensively what is the meaning of the sacrifice, how the idea of yajna should be applied to the all spheres of my life. Even breathing is an yajna. Even breathing becomes an yajna. Every action should become an yajna. For one who sacrifices not, this world is lost. Not to speak of then of the hereafter. Definitely he will not get a higher loka at all. He will not be able to enjoy anything after his life. This is the warning of Lord Krishna. If you are selfish, if you are greedy, if you are corrupt, then this life is lost for you. This world is lost for you. If you are ever thinking that you will get happiness after this life, after the death, forget about it. You will never get that state at all. So this warning we had to hear. This is a stern warning given by Krishna at least 3000 years ago. The whole of Indian life is the what you call the obedience, abidance of this to this warning or to this instruction. Those spiritual personages, hundreds and thousands of devotees who have lived in this country, in this motherland of ours, are abiding into this instruction to live according to the principle of yajna, dedicating their life for the service of others and considering dedication to others, dedicating our life to others is equal to dedicating our life to God. Because they were able to see God in man. That is the teaching of Swami Vivekananda and Sri Ramakrishna in modern times. See God in man, serve Him. Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. Don't consider another human being as just an individual human being. God is within you and God is within him or her also. See God in the hearts of everyone, and whenever you interact with another human, serve him. Service of God, service of human being is service of God. There is absolutely no difference between serving the human beings and serving the God. See God in man, and He is a moving God, Swami Vivekananda says. You would like to go to the temple and worship a stone as God, but here is a moving God. So the same idea Basavanna says in one of his vachanas, Stavara Kalivuntu Jangama Kalivilla. If you build a temple or if you worship an image, the image may get broken. The temple may get dilapidated over a period of time. But the human being is eternal. The human being, in essence, he is Atman, and he himself is Paramatman. So Krishna says in the 13th chapter, every human being every consciousness within the human being, that is called Kshetrajna, is Ishvara himself. It is I, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. All the kshetras, all the bodies, hundreds and thousands of bodies, but the principle is same. That conscious entity is God Himself, and we have to learn to serve them. We have to learn to worship the God in man. This is the great teaching of the Bhagavadgita, resonated in modern times in the words of Sri Ramakrishna as Shiva Jnani Jiva Seva, and in the words of Swami Vivekananda as Serve God in Man. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.